Guys, welcome back to Simply Fit. I'm your host, Sandy White, your number one health and wellness cheerleader, as well as your 2022 accountability partner. Guys, if you want to work with me for a free 30-minute consultation, check out WYTV7.org and sign up today. We're also doing a financial literacy 101 program on January 29th. So while you're on there, sign up for that one as well. We have a lot of things that's going on in the community. So check it out. See what you can share with your loved ones, as well as what you can put into your life right now. This theme for this season is, what are you trying? Whatever worked for you last year, if you did not yield a result, you definitely want to scrap and rework. So check out all of the wonderful things that we're doing in the community, and WYTV7 platform is there for everyone. And we want to give a shout out to WYTV7 for allowing Simply Fit to be on their platform once again, because we're able to bring you guys wonderful segments like the one today. We have Miss Tracy Parnell, who's a licensed therapist, and she's going to be talking to you guys about mental fitness. We're able to come to you guys being on this platform to reach our goals of assisting 1 million individuals with their health and wellness goals, so that they're able to overcome suicide and depression. So with that being said, welcome to the show, Miss Tracy. How are you?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me.
So how's it been going since the last time we had you on? I think you were on our first season.
hmm Oh my gosh, it's been so busy. It's been so busy. Lots of clients, lots of different scenarios, just expanding my brand and my business. So yeah, it's been busy.
So with that, go a little bit more so that the audience knows the type of clients that you were working with when you first came on in season one, opposed to the ones that you're working with now, so that they can get an idea of what type of therapist you are and what are the groups of individuals that will be best suited coming to you.
So in the very beginning, I was working with people that were frustrated with the pandemic. They were also dealing with some life changes, so anxiety and depression. Now I see a lot more people coming with life issues that have been settled, like they've been dealing with it forever, and now they're realizing it's not healthy. It's not healthy for me to have this dysfunctional pattern. It's not healthy for me to live with toxic patterns or people who have toxic patterns. So I am dealing with a lot more life changes now. I am still dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression, because I don't know where we are in this pandemic, end middle end, but people are having a challenging time attempting to deal with this and create a new normal for them. So that's a lot of the different clientele that I'm seeing right now.
So that's very helpful. And you moved into 101 like in person, or you are doing everything online?
Yeah, so I'm a virtual therapist. I have yet to go into an office. Every time I think about renewing or getting a lease, numbers spike and things happen. And for me, I'm vaccinated. I don't really fear this as much as a lot of people do. But the last thing I want to do is be a point of contact for folks to take it and travel. So I'm all virtual right now.
Oh, that's good. So, are you just working with adults, or do you have you ventured out to maybe families with children, or is it just one on ones with just just mainly adults?
So I have couple sessions. I do have adult individual sessions, and I have adolescents from 13 on up. The lowest age I've seen, I think, is like 11, and that's only because of an emergency reason. But like, I tend to deal well on virtual sessions with people 13 and up. The littles is what I call the kids under 13. Their attention span is not that long. And sometimes you really need to do things like play therapy, keep them engaged, have pop sockets, things that'll keep them engaged while they're talking. And when it's hard to do that over virtual sessions. So I don't see kids right now.
So you already answered this question, but I want you to re-answer it because I gotta follow up to it. So the mental health issues that you're seeing the most of, what are those categories? So when people make appointments with you, they know Well, let me backtrack. Tell them the what you're seeing the most of, and if you're not working with those issues that are outside of your bubble, do you have someone that you can refer these guys to? Because you don't want to have somebody you say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I only work with blah 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 blah," and they're at their last end,
Mhm.
and not being totally mentally stable.
So when we have people in crisis, I have partnered with and networked with the urgent care behavioral health, which is open 7 days a week from certain hours in my area, which is different from the emergency room. So if you're ever dealing with a crisis situation where you feel like you're either suicidal or you homicidal, one or the other, you can go straight to the emergency room. They will give you an assessment. They will set you up with psychiatrists, medication, therapists, things of that nature. Behavioral health urgent care center is more like a 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And when you have troubles and there's no one available or no one that may specialize in what the issue is, you can go there and they will do assessments as well. And they will give more resources. I also have a list of personal therapists that I give resources out to clients that I can't help. But more specifically, what I'm working with now is anxiety, depression, and life changes. Those are the three, that's the big umbrella of what I see. However, I will see that a lot of it is rooted in trauma. I'm also a certified trauma therapist. So people will say, oh, I have this problem with this, or I have this problem with that. And we'll do something called a genogram, which is a family tree of emotion. And when we look at the patterns in the family tree and what people have been through and what their parents have been through and what they've been saturated in, you can see the patterns of trauma. And so a lot of times when we identify, okay, this is rooted in trauma and it's a behavior, then we can target how to help change that behavior. And it starts off as anxiety and depression, but that's almost never the root cause. It's usually something else. So people will come to me and say, oh, I have anxiety. Oh, I have depression. I'll give them the assessment. Yes, they have it. But then when we work, we figure out where it comes from.
So you can cut it off at the roots. That's good.
Yes.
So how long are the sessions? Or is it depends on that person, or because you've dealt with the groups, anxiety, depression, and trauma, you kind of get an idea of how many sessions you need to tell them to get started on, and you just let them go until they feel comfortable. I don't want to say using you as a crutch, but until they're comfortable no longer coming to you.
So essentially, there is no set number of sessions. So they'll come in, we'll diagnose the issue and the problem. Sometimes insurance companies, I'm paneled with a lot of insurance companies, will say this person only gets so many sessions. Most times that's not the case. Most times insurance companies will approve people to be seen twice a week. I
Okay.
never want to do that because then you become, as a therapist, a crutch. I want to give you the tools, send you back out in the world, you figure it out. We come back, we reassess, and eventually we push you out to every other week, and then we push you out to every 3 weeks, and then you just do a check-in. You do a
Okay.
check-in every 3 months, 6 months, a year, or you dismiss, or what we call discharge. I
Okay.
call it graduate because the goal is to implant health in one person and help them affect the community.
Okay.
I see myself as a counselor. So I'm not your crutch. I'm your help.
Okay.
So there's no set number of sessions. They come in, I explain that to them, and I let them know, hey, if you're not comfortable, we can always refer out. But initially, 3 to 4 sessions would allow me to get to know you, get seated in where you come from, and then I can give you a lot of appropriate tools to help you move through what the issue is.
Okay. And so basically the follow up is like you said, you come back, I give you the tools, you come back once a month, once, kind of weeding them further out where, like you said, it's like a eaglet learning how to fly,
Yes.
and not necessarily saying bye, I don't want to see you anymore, but where they're
Yes.
comfortable and they can function what we call normal. Or
Yes.
what's the term
Right.
that you guys say? Because
It's never normal.
normal, everybody's normal is different. So what's the
Right.
term that you
I
guys
say a
use?
homeostatic level for them. They need to be in
Okay.
homeostasis. And each person, depending on the level of trauma, like let's say for a typical client, we can get a baseline in 2 to 3 weeks. And then, we'll move to every other week, every 3 weeks. Some clients, you need 6, 8, 10, 12 sessions back to back, week by week before they can begin to move outward like that. It just depends on the level of trauma.
Okay. So I have a question because I'm listening to you, and I know that sometimes when people have anxiety, they just want, so, there are underlying conditions, which you've explained, but sometimes they just want someone to talk to. When you realize that it's really not anything that they need to be going through counseling for, they really just need a friend. How do you kind of let me see, professionally say this is not the setting for you, because sometimes that could tip somebody in the wrong direction. I'm not in your field, I'm not licensed in that, but how do you know to say, boo boo, this not it for you?
I challenge the thought. I challenge the attendance. I challenge it and I say, okay, so here is what you presented with. Here's our therapy plan. It doesn't seem as if this is the issue. Tell me how you feel or if you're fine with everything. And if I see them attempting to use it as friendship, then I then address that. Okay, so what's your thought of healthy connection outside of this room? Because you see me once a week, every week. Like that's not friendship, that's not relationship. We build healthy relationships outside. And so sometimes it'll move to skill building. So I need to help you reintegrate into society and identify the difference between a friend and a help, because everybody has a different thought process of what it looks like. And then think about it too. They see me as safe. So I
Right.
didn't want to model. There are safe people out there. You don't want to pay your money. And I always lead by this because your gift will make room for you. I don't want to just sit here and take your money. That's not my goal. My goal is to equip you to be a healthy, happy, well-adjusted individual in society. And so I say that. I don't shy behind it. I say it.
And the reason I asked you that is because we've been in this pandemic for quite a while,
Mhm.
and people are losing their skills, and we've been behind the computer for so long that the normal one-on-one human interaction, sadly to say, a lot of people are losing those skills, and they're falling back into categories that they worked so hard to get out of. So that's why I asked you that question. So
Mhm.
you don't do you don't write prescriptions for folks, do you?
No, I'm not a psychiatrist. Will so I have recommendations and referrals in my state for people I will send to. I don't normally recommend medication, but after about 3 or 4 sessions with you, I'll know whether it is a behavior that you can or cannot control, and then I'll say these are your options. But I do believe that we can change some of our behaviors and manage some of our issues. Some people need medicine, and that's not a bad thing.
Okay. Now clarify this one because you also answered this question. So how do you believe therapy has helped with coping through the pandemic for a lot of folks?
It reconnects them with reality. It gives them a different picture other than what's inside their head. So a lot of times we get stuck with what I think is reality. And in therapy with me, I'd say I challenge those thoughts. And I also assist them in navigating re-entry into certain things. So um, I think I give them a segue into another, reality where they used to be and where they can go moving forward.
Okay. So we have about 2 minutes, and I believe we need to take a break. But just give me a couple tips that folks can use that are struggling with their mental stability, so that they can kind of get on to the right path of having, basically being more mentally fit.
First thing I would say is see a
And I'm sorry.
professional.
So if you don't get through all the tips, because we're gonna take a break and then we're gonna come right back.
Okay, okay. So the first thing I would say is see a professional. I would not trust your girlfriend, your cousin, your mom, your uncle, or your brother to give you life-saving advice when it comes to a broken leg or a broken arm. It's the same thing with your mind. It's fragile. So don't be afraid to reach out and see a professional. We are bound by confidentiality. We don't share your information. We don't even acknowledge that we know you unless you say, hey, that's my therapist. You don't say anything, we don't say anything. So the first thing I would say is see a professional. The second thing I would say is take your journey seriously. When you're given homework, when somebody is asking you to explore something, sit down and do the work so that you can move to health a lot quicker. Um, and then believe in yourself. Don't be so down on yourself for where you are. Believe that you can really move from where you are to where you need to be. And those are some keys I think that would help.
Okay, so we're gonna take a quick break and then we're gonna be right back with the lovely Miss Tracy Parnell.
80% of women will develop a pelvic health condition at some point in their lives. There is relief. There is hope. The Pelvic Floor Store, your resource for personal health.
Hey guys, we're back from our break. We've been talking with our licensed therapist, Tracy Parnell. And when we left on our break, she gave you guys 3 tips to having a better mental fitness, which was check with a professional therapist. Second one is don't check with basically don't check with anybody that, like your girlfriend, boyfriend. They ain't licensed, they not getting the results that you want. You don't want to do that. Scrap and rework if you've been doing that. And then the third one she mentioned, if you guys have been giving homework, be serious about it so that you can have better mental fitness and do the work that she or your therapist has told you to do. So now, Tracy, can you give us some examples of what you would possibly tell your client when, as in reference to the homework that they should be doing, and then maybe 2 or 3 more tips, and then we'll move on.
So the do the work tip that I gave, there are many things that we can assess beyond that. So if we give you work like journal or color or ground yourself, which is like literally sitting still and focusing on something in your area, or deep breathing, if we give you those things and you're not able to accomplish it, then that shows avoidance. And then we have something else to dig into. So as a mental health therapist, we don't look to like chat with you like a friend. Like you said, we're looking for you to put one foot in front of the other so you can become mentally stable. So doing the work is paramount for you in shortening your time in therapy. The next thing I said was be kind to yourself. It's not the easiest thing to identify that you're dealing with a mental health issue or crisis. And a lot of people like to avoid it because they feel like, oh, not me. Especially like, oh, I'm sick, I'm not gonna go to the doctor because I don't wanna hear what they got to say. It could be death. Well, when you do the work first, you actually are setting the pace for achievement. So you one foot in front of the other when you contact a mental health therapist, when you are doing your homework, when you are meeting the goals, be kind to yourself. It takes time. A lot of times we didn't get into the mental health crisis or that mental health space overnight. So you got to be kind to yourself so you can open up that ability to heal. To add to that, I would also say change your surroundings and detox your social media. If you want to do better, if you want to have better, you got to do better. So let's try to say, I want to cuss less, but I'm one of my favorite pastors say, I'm paying $9.99 to get cussed out every day. Like you on Apple Music listening to the ratchetest of the ratchet. Like you can't say I want to do something less, but continue to saturate yourself in exactly what you're trying to get away from. So those friends who are constantly not going to work or cussing their kids out, not taking their hygiene well, not doing self-care. I'm not saying cut them off. I'm saying challenge them, create boundaries, and then move if you need to. The music that you listen to, if you just hate Christian music, go to jazz. Like do something that is going to allow you to detox all of those messages that you've been taking in.
And the last thing I would say, the television too.
Yeah, all of it. Your social media. Well, I say social media because a lot of times I'm dealing with kids between 13 and like 27, and they are like this all the time. Like to talk to them, you text them. And it's a lot. So they live by social media. So I tell them, detox it. Start following #inspiration, #Jesus saves. Like something that is going to build up your confidence in this forward movement. You're right. The TV we watch too. Sometimes we get to put repetitive stuff in Netflix. Let me tell you, I'm guilty. I'm not going to even lie. It's been a pacifier for me for a long time. But you do have to learn how to detox social or your television as well, along with your body. Right. Everything is connected, mind, body, soul. And so when I'm dealing with my clients, we look at it all. What are you eating? How much are you eating? How many times are you eating? Do you take your vitamins? Have you been to the doctor? Did you get your vitamin levels checked? How are you sleeping? All of that plays a part in your mental wellness. So detoxing that body, that mind, and that spirit is going to be another thing that I would say would be super helpful on this journey.
So you said one thing that's really key, which a lot of people don't realize. A lot of times when your nutrient levels are low and you can't do the over the counter, you need to talk to your doctor, because they can actually give you a B12 injection, or they can do a vitamin D3 that's like 2,000 or higher or something like that. When that information comes back from the doctor, does your patient give that to you? Like when they say, okay, I went to the doctor because you told me go get a physical, so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. So then you kind of know, okay, now I know why you low all kilter, because this is low, that, okay. All right. So I just wanted to make sure, because a lot of people don't realize that a lot of times when people are mentally unstable, a lot of times not in every case, but in most cases, nutrients being upgraded, they'll be like, whoo, thank you, Jesus. But
it's a regimen. It's a regimen. You can't just, your doctor say take it and you take it for a week and stop.
Right. It's not a one and done. It's
B12 is linked to energy.
Right.
D3 is linked to depression. And in Black women, we have those levels lower. And when you go and get your regular physical, they don't check for those. You have to ask.
Right. And they don't know that. So that's a good thing that you tell them. You got to ask. So let me ask you this, because this is like a hot button topic with everybody. If you don't get your shot, you're going to lose your job. And so a lot of people in the healthcare profession have lost their jobs because they're refusing to get COVID. And then the caveat is some people have gotten double vaccinated, gotten their boosted, and still gotten vaccinated. And they're like all over the map because they're like, now I'm going to therapy because I'm like out there. Okay. So now how do you handle that? Because I understand both sides, but now you're in the middle. So how do you navigate, helping these folks when they're on both sides of the fence?
So first thing I do is, even with mental health and wellness, when we talk about your mind being your worst enemy, we need to feed it facts. So let's be clear, the COVID vaccination does not keep you from getting COVID. It's supposed to keep you from dying from COVID. And I do share, after my clients have made their decision, I only got vaccinated because my sister passed away from COVID. So I do it in her honor because she couldn't do it. It's not necessarily that I did the research and said, yes, this is the greatest thing. But guess what? That was a personal decision. I was okay with making it. I could stand by it, and I don't care what other people said. And I personally have seen people exit the job that I just left because they refused to get the vaccine. So I tell people, like, you are the author of your life in addition to Christ. You have got to be okay with your decision. I don't help them lean either way. I help them become comfortable with trusting themselves. So if you don't want the vaccine, still stay safe. This is a real virus. People really are dying. Health and safety is at risk. Stay safe. Keep your mask on, wash your hands, keep a distance.
Right. So, and I agree with what you've said. And I actually just told somebody else that because her sister passed away. I'm not playing with this. But how do you, so they make the decision, I don't want to do it. I understand what you're saying. But now they all stressed out and tripping in the mind. So how do you help them to navigate? Because this was like you said, it's your choice. I'm not forcing you to go either way. I'm telling you what I did, but now you're in my office. Mm-hmm. So now we're gonna need to work with you on this. How do you navigate? Not pointing your finger either way, because you can't do that. That am I correct? You can't. You can't say, right, well, you didn't do this, and that's when now you lost your job. Now you're stressed out, and now you're in here with me. How do you navigate through that without saying it like I just said it?
So the initial thing, because it would sound like they would be dealing with high levels of anxiety, I would give them tools to calm their anxiety. One thing that I love to do is grounding. So I would have them put their feet flat on the floor, put their hands on their legs, stand tall. We would take about 4 or 5 deep breaths together, me guiding them. And then I have them look around my room and list everything that's pink. List how many different picture frames do I have? List this, list that. And then once I bring the levels down, then we talk about how to trust yourself. It's unfortunate that none of this stuff is like guided by any rules or anything like that. We are, if you ask me, making this stuff up as we go. And so we can't beat ourselves up for something that is it's unfolding as we live. So breathe, You got to know what's right for you. Number one. Number two, there are plenty of jobs out there. The economy is at its all-time worst for workers. You can, with the confidence, go out and find something that is going to provide for you, that will not mandate, because it's federal people. Anybody taking federal funds or under the law where people have to be vaccinated. There are many of jobs that are not having this mandate. So we troubleshoot, we problem solve, and I want to center them and help them trust themselves and their decision.
So they got to scrap and rework. So
absolutely.
How can loved ones help those going through mental crisis? What are some things that you would tell loved ones for those that are in the mental instability times? What do you tell them to do so that person that's being mentally challenged can, work through that process?
First things first, I would ask the person, how can I support you? How can I help you? How can I be of service to you in this time? And let them tell you what they need. Second thing is, don't judge and don't give like all of these different sayings that we say, oh, you'll be okay. Push through it. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You got this. Don't do that, because literally having a breakdown sometimes is things that people cannot control. So that would even spiral them deeper. So the biggest thing is, how can I help you? And then when you see that they are unraveling to the point of safety, get them to a place where they can be assessed. So you can have people assessed, what's the word? Involuntarily.
Okay.
If I see that you are you running down the street, butt naked, or you flashing yourself, or you're not washing yourself or taking care of your children, I'm going to ask you first, how can I help? How can I support? But when it gets to a point where I think you're in danger or somebody else is in danger, I can call 911 and say, I need a mental wellness check. And a lot of states have social workers and police officers riding together so that it is behavioral health related.
I'm glad you said that, because when you just said I would call 911, I just immediately remember the stuff that's been going on for a lot of folks that were having mental challenges, breakdowns, and the police officer was not trained, and that came out horrible. So now they're having a social worker with the police officer when 911 is okay. So
that's for Missouri. I can't say that for other states. So like even in Missouri, we have a urgent care behavioral health. So you know how they have all these urgent cares around in the corner or whatever, on every corner for sickness and illness. Right. They have one for mental health. So if push comes to shove, you can call them and they can refer you to who would come. But I know from Missouri, we have officers and social workers riding together in the car all day in, day out, for calls of that nature. But you got to tell them it's a mental wellness issue or mental wellness check.
Okay, so we're down to our last 2 minutes, and our theme for the year is trying. We're asking people, what are you trying to do to improve your life, to impact someone else's life? So I got 3 things that I need to ask you, and then I have to close out. So what are the things that you're trying to do to make your profession better, your life better, and what is it that you want your clients to start trying to do? And then tell them how they can reach you.
Okay, things that I am doing to make my profession better. I recently let go of a full-time job that I was working side by side with my private practice. Now I'm doing private practice full-time, and I am lending myself to my craft. I'm going through trainings. I am branching out to identify if I can serve more people, looking to do more speaking events, not just to get myself out there, but to mental wellness and mental health in our community is necessary. And the more people you can reach, the more help you can give. So in addition to that, I want to do workshops. I want to teach and train people about cultural competency. My biggest thing, Lord, if God says the same, I want to train therapists and other professionals on how to work with our brown and Black babies. I want people to be culturally competent so they're not hurting them more than they're helping them. So that's my ultimate goal.
And their clients, what do you want them to start trying to do more that for this season and beyond?
I want them to reach towards self-sufficiency, and I want them to pass it down to the next generation. I do have a few kids, but I have more adults than I have kids, and this generational blessing or curse is in your hands. I've seen so many so many genograms with these trauma trees where the same trauma is passed down. And I do it on purpose because I tell them, you have the ability to stop this. So I
Right.
want them to be able to take their health in their own hands and be more self-sufficient with changing the trauma in the tree or getting rid of it altogether.
Amen. And then tell people how they can reach you.
My business name is Sharper Vision Counseling Services. I have a website, sharpervisioncounseling.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Tracy Parnell, or Sharper Vision Counseling. On Instagram, same thing, Sharper Vision Counseling. Facebook, same thing. And my numbers and emails are there too. Now, it's important to know that I'm only licensed in Missouri for right now. So you have to be a Missouri resident in order for me to take you in as a client.
So that was a mouthful. Make sure you guys get all of her information. Tracy, thank you. This has been so just eye-opening. I appreciate you coming back on the show, guys. I'm your host for Simply Fit, Sandy White. We broadcast every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Make sure you check your time zone because we're Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you guys next week. Mwah. Love you.